Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to Bearded Brad Barbecue. Today we're going to be turning this into this. Let's do it. Alright guys, so I picked up this choice brisket from Sam's Club this morning. It is a 10-pound brisket. It was like $33, which seems like a good price for brisket. A lot of times they seem to be a little pricier. So I went ahead and picked it up. We're going to have some people over tomorrow for the Tennessee football game. So we're going to smoke a brisket and put it on tonight and have it ready for tomorrow. First thing we're going to do though is a little bit of prep. We're going to get this thing cleaned up a little bit nicer. We're going to start off by trimming up some of this excess fat. You want to try to have the fat nice and even. You don't want to have super thick parts and then thinner parts. You want this thing to be able to be cooked evenly. I'm just going to trim up some of this excess stuff right here on the flat. Nothing too crazy here. And you can always trim as much or as little as you like. Alright, that's pretty good for that side. We're going to flip this bad boy over. And this is usually where you want to do the most of the trimming. Kind of cleaning up a lot of this here. This is definitely too much on this particular brisket. Again, you want to look at the thickness of the fat and try to have it nice and even. Whatever you do, do not remove all of the fat. Fat is flavor. You want this thing to be nice and aerodynamic, round sides, let that smoke go around it perfectly. I am certainly no butcher, but I think that is going to do it for me. I'm going to set our trimmings aside and get this baby seasoned up. So I just recently picked up, this is Melissa Cookston's Memphis Barbecue Bold. Check that out there. And I did some baby back ribs with these the other day and it was phenomenal. So that's what we're going to hit this with on this brisket. I am originally from Nashville, so I am a fan of Memphis barbecue. My first ever job was at Martin's Barbecue, which many of you may have heard of, out of Nashville, Tennessee. That's kind of where I learned how to do a lot of this. Really fell in love with cooking. Learned a lot of stuff working for Pat Martin. The store I worked in was the original one. We just had one store when I was there. I don't know exactly how many he's got now, but he's done pretty well. I flip it over. The biggest thing when you're smoking meat is making sure you cover all sides. We want to get nice bark on this brisket. Make sure she's seasoned up good here. Alright, I think we got her seasoned up there. I always cook my brisket with the fat up. That's going to be the point on the top side. That's how it's sitting right now. So I'm going to throw this thing on the pit probably around 10 o'clock tonight. We are going to be starting the cook off at 200. I'm going to run it at 200 on the pit balls. I'm going to let it do that probably until first thing in the morning. And then when I wake up, I'm going to try to get up about 5. When I get up, I'm going to crank that thing up to 225. The only reason I'm doing it at 200 is on these pit balls and a lot of the different pellet smokers, you don't get nearly as much smoke when you have that temperature turned up a little bit. So if you can go a little bit lower, that's going to get you the smoke there at the beginning of the cook. So that's what we're going to do. Like I said, first thing in the morning, we're going to crank it up to 225. Let it run there until it is done, which is going to be about 200, 205, and this brisket will be perfect. We're going to wrap it up, let it rest in a cooler for a few hours before people come over. The last thing you want to do is be late to the party. I'll catch y'all when it's time to throw this thing on the pit. Alright guys, it is about 10:30. We're about to get this brisket on the smoker. It's 189 right now. We're just trying to get to 200, so it's close enough. It is my bedtime. So we're going to go ahead and toss the brisket on the pit balls. I'll see you in the morning. Alright, it's 5 a.m. Smoker's running 200. Let's give her a check. Not looking too bad here. I am going to go ahead and crank up our temp to 225. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and go to 250. We're gonna let it ride at 250. I may get a little bit of spritz on here, get some moisture on that thing. We're gonna let it go for a little bit longer. We are gonna wrap this thing here in a couple hours. All right, y'all, this thing has been going for about 10 hours now, and it is looking good. We got the bark on it that we want, and that is when we know it's time to wrap it. And I'm gonna go ahead and get an internal temp just to see where we're at with this thing. After 10 hours on the smoker, 190, 190, 183. So we're getting close. We still got a little ways to go up here on the point. And so that's where we're gonna wrap it. It's gonna help hold in that moisture. Paper's run away from us. Wrapping it is gonna help lock in that moisture, lock on that bark, and help speed up the remainder of the cook time. So we're gonna pull this thing off, get it on our paper, get it wrapped up nice and neat. There, we got it, perfectly wrapped brisket. Throw it back on the smoker. It's about 8:45. I'm probably gonna give it about an hour and a half or so, check the temp again, see where we're at with it. And as soon as we hit about 200 to 203 probably, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it, put it in a cooler with some towels, help it carry over and help it rest, and that's just gonna make it nice and juicy. All right, brisket should be about ready. I'm gonna go ahead and pull a temp on it here. Right at 199. Right, yep. This thing is ready. Already got the cooler out here. I like to wrap it up in a towel before I put it in the cooler. I'll set a towel down, pull this brisket. Of course the AC turns on. Wrap it up in a towel, toss it down in the cooler. We're gonna let that thing rest for probably about an hour, hour and a half. It's gonna bring the temp up a little bit more, also help hold all those juices in. It is gonna be delicious. All right, it is time to break out the brisket. Got it wrapped up in the towel. Makes the cooler smell delicious. Woo-wee. See what this baby's gonna look like. If that's not beauty right there, I don't know what is. I cannot wait to cut into this. Alright, we're just gonna cut this baby right in half. So tender. Y'all check that out. Nice and moist, super tender meat. Alright, now it's time to cut in here. Give us a little taste test. Get a little bit of the fattiness off the point here first. Cut us a few pieces off the flat as well. Look at that. Nice and tender. Brisket is probably one of my favorite cuts of meat. It was just so good. The little bit of fat sitting on top of that flat there. Phenomenal. I know this point meat's gonna be even better. Super fatty up here on the point. Give it a little taste test. Look at that. I think we did it right with that one. If you don't wrap your briskets, definitely try it sometime. Holds in a lot of that flavor and the juices. Really helps keep it moist. Really great. I've seen a lot of people talk about the full boat method. I've never personally tried that. So maybe we'll try that on the next brisket here, see how it does. I've also done some where we didn't wrap at all, and that's really good. I mean, you get the smoke flavor the entire time. Sometimes it can be a little over powerful on the smoke, and sometimes it can dry out as well. So I like wrapping it up, holding the flavor, but this is so dang good. As with every other video you've seen lately, we got people over at the house for a Tennessee game, Tennessee-Georgia game today. About to kick off any minute now, so we're gonna head on inside, let everybody dig in, Hopefully Tennessee can pull out a big win against Georgia. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.